What up, my ninjas? Happy New Year. A lot has happened in the last couple weeks. Uh, had an awesome Christmas. I'm showing you some of the spoils of that. And I had an awesome New Year's Eve and New Year, New Year's Day. I got married on New Year's Eve, so I'm happy about that. And so is my wife. And I'm back with another review, so let's get into it. So today we're doing the 30th Anniversary Sky Stryker, along with a couple others. But right now we're on the Sky Stryker, which is a cool vehicle. I'm happy that they redid it to some degree. But I have some small criticisms. Actually, they're kind of large criticisms. And I'll get into some background, though. The first thing about this vehicle that makes it relevant in my collection is that my friends, they had it when I was a kid. My best friend, his father was in Vietnam, and his father used to collect or buy a lot of G.I. Joe stuff for his son. Now, this was when I was in kindergarten through about like first grade. So I vividly remember these things because show and tell, this kid had the bomb-ass toys, and I kind of had some cool stuff, but it wasn't as cool as his because I had like a handful. I had like 4 G.I. Joes at any given time, you know? And, well, not at any given time, but I had like 4 for the majority of my childhood because they would always pop on me and then I would get new ones. But anyway, when I saw this, I was like, wow, it's almost exactly the same thing as it was when I was a kid. Sliding wings, the sliding lever for the wings and the landing gear and everything. And I was like, holy shit, oh, this is quality. So then I got it, and I realized that it is almost the same thing with a reworked cockpit and different stickers and a new version of Ace. That kind of made me happy, but then the more I looked at it, I'm like, wow, there were things I remember about the original that overall, this figure is the original, just with reworked sculpting. But like, the original one had 2 ejection seats that worked, and there was like a parachute in there. We didn't get that shit. Now, this came out in the 80s, like the early 80s. There's no excuse. What was it? 80... Oh man, I can't remember. This was a long time ago. This was like the Real American Hero days. Was it 83? Now, if in 1983 we could get this with working ejection seats with parachutes built in, why couldn't we get that now? Because I wanted to put 2 people in there. But anyway, back to the review. Every detail that this vehicle has, this is a vehicle that is based on the Grumman F-14 Tomcat. And I remember saying that I thought it was an F-15 or an F-14. I'm not a huge plane person. I just know that it looked familiar, and I have to always research to figure out what's what. So yeah, this is a modified, slightly modified F-14 Tomcat, which was big back in the 80s. All the missiles and everything are there, which were pretty much the same missiles back in the 80s. I dig the design. It's cool. It reminds me so much of Ace Combat, Assault Horizon. But once again, here's another criticism. I was hoping that we would get a like an updated version, you know, not just an updated cockpit, but like updated, like a concept plane, maybe a modern concept plane with the stripes and paint and, you know, sticker application as, you know, of the Sky Stryker instead. But what we ended up getting was exactly the 1983 figure for $34, and it kind of seems strange next to some of my more futuristic stuff because this is a vehicle that's not like, I don't think it's that hardcore in use these days, you know? I know it was, but I don't think it's used right now. But you know, since the Joes are supposed to be like super you know, futuristic, I was expecting for it to be used. I think, actually, you know what? The more I think about it, in reality, and I know this is G.I. Joe, but in reality, the F-14 was retired. And now we use Hornets, Super Hornets instead. What was that game called? Afterburner Climax. They show you Super Hornet is one of your planes because it's modern military. So it's kind of strange, you know what I mean? Like, after a certain point, it was people in over in the Middle East that were using our plane, this plane. So this should be a plane that we could have other characters using and not necessarily the Joes. And I still don't get this. And whenever I read reviews or I watch reviews, no one says anything. But anyway, back to the review. I noticed that earlier this year, Leonard came out with the Flash Hawk, which is pretty much a modified F-14 or F-15, whatever. It's the same in that series, in that family. Now it's way smaller, but since it's a one-seater, I felt the need to bring this up. So you have this one-seater that's tiny, you know? It's the right size to go along with, you know, one character, 1 3 3/4 figure. But the Joe's version, we've got all these levers and things, and when you use the lever to get the wings to move, the landing gear comes out. Now on the Flash Hawk, it has lights and sounds and stuff, and it also has the dual wing movement thing, but you can have it wings retracted, landing gear out, as if it just landed on a carrier. Why is it that the more ginormous one can't do this? You know? And this is simple. You know, these are really tiny details. On you know, most of the G.I. Joe planes, you can pull out the landing gear. Shit, on Transformers, you can pull out the landing gear and put the wings back if the wings are movable, you know? But here you see the Sky Stryker with the wings back, but the landing gear is up, which kind of sucks. You're expecting to be able to use the landing gear when you make the thing land. I mean, it's a massive plane. Who has the room to just have 20 of these things or 2 of these things, you know, taking up space on your shelf or in your area? I have to put the wings back on mine. I mean, I'm gonna hang it from the ceiling so that it'll be out of the way to some degree, but still, it would be nice to be able to have the wings work independently with the dual movement, and then have the landing gear work independently with a lever or something, you know? And it shouldn't be that difficult, you know? This is one of those things that I'm always complaining about when I mess with Hasbro stuff. You look at the True Heroes vehicles and stuff, and it seems like they think about this stuff. Either the landing gear is just out all the time because you're going to need to land it, or they give you the ability to mess with it and put it how you want to. Nothing is set up in a way that you have to do anything except for when the landing gear is sculpted onto the vehicle and it's out already. So I don't understand what Hasbro is doing. So that's points away from it on my, you know, in my opinion. I mean, I still have fun playing around with it because, I mean, come on, it's an F-14. I saw Top Gun growing up, which is the whole reason why I even wanted this thing. And I play too much Ace Combat, so I need some planes. Anyway, the other thing I don't like is, as you can see on this, you see how it's wings extended, landing gear up. The Sky Stryker has the peg system to hold the missiles in place, whereas the Flash Hawk has clasps to hold the missiles in place, and they're made of a kind of a fairly pliable plastic, so you can just pull them out and make them do what you want them to do, and then they just pop right back in and they don't break easily. Now, considering that this vehicle is so similar, the two vehicles are so similar to one another, it's weird that I paid $9.99 for that tiny little plane, and it has more features, many of the same, but more features than the ginormous $34.99 G.I. Joe 1983 Sky Stryker, you know? And I get it, it's vintage, I guess, but you updated Ace. Why not update the plane that Ace is supposed to be piloting? That's just my opinion on the subject. So, you know, then there's the scale issue. This plane is humongous. It's so strange that, you know, for a one-seater, we've got that much plane, that many pieces, you know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of detail in this cockpit, and there's a lot of detail on Ace himself, and I dig that, but why does it have to be that ginormous when so many of the G.I. Joe vehicles, the scale is always off, you know? Like, carriers end up being dropped down to one-seaters. I don't get it. Anyway, you can see that Ace can grab the throttle as well as the joystick to control his plane. There is the heads-up display so that You know, when he's locked on, that little blue thing, you can push it up and have him locked onto his target, which is a nice addition. I couldn't find any stickers for it. I don't know if there are stickers in the package specifically for that. I couldn't tell. And I just got this thing yesterday, so you know, I'm still going through this. That's why you might notice that some of the stickers aren't even put on there, but I will get to them. Overall, though, I like the detailing on the inside. It's really nice. I mean, overall, I like the detailing on this plane, period. I just wish there were more modifications to match the time, you know. There are the toggles for your ejection seat, which does not work on this one. I repeat, does not work. So not only has the two-seater, you know, flagship plane for G.I. Joe become a one-seater, and they've gotten rid of the ejection seats with the parachutes. So I don't know, you know, fail on that respect, because I liked the idea of having a two-seater with dual ejection seats, because I mean, come on, the Joes were always having to eject out of the Sky Strykers, you know. Anyway, Ace, really cool figure. The things I noticed immediately, though, are that there's a lot of retooling. I mean, almost the entire figure from head to toe. I don't even remember what head that is, but from, let's say, from his neck down, it's all parts from other characters. There's parts from Skydive, parts from Wild Bill, parts from the second version of Deep Six, parts from the Rise of Cobra, Sergeant Airborne. It's just, you know, it's like, wow. I don't even know if that helmet is new for this design. It could be. I don't know. I don't remember. Like I told you, I've only been back into this for a couple years, so you know, I'm getting used to finding the parts that Hasbro has reused on these guys. He's got his standard pistol, which is cool. The harness, it's kind of big and bulky, and it looks like it would work for a helmet like that. To me, like I always say in these reviews, the Joes are the superheroic versions of their real-world military counterparts. So in my mind, our pilot shouldn't have all that gear on. He should have less gear and more high-tech stuff so that he doesn't have to have as much gear on. So I took the harness off. I think it looks, light years better without it. And, you know, you can see straps and stuff, so he doesn't look less tactical and he doesn't look less like the form follows the function. So it works for me. I like the little holster on his leg. It's kind of funny. I like the little handles on the backs of his boots. Just in case something happens, you can, you know, strap something onto that and drag him out of wherever he is. Solid figure. I like that he even has armor on, just in case he goes out into the field and gets blasted. I dig that. That's actually pretty cool to me. It's always nice when Hasbro takes the time to reuse parts with a lot of detail. I won't say sculpt from scratch, because I mean, they don't really do that much anymore. But it's nice when they use the parts that have a lot of details that somehow actually fit the function of the character better than others, you know. I just recently picked up what's his name, the Renegades version of Tunnel Rat, because I've missed out on Tunnel Rat for a few years. And he comes with all kinds of shit that he can't even use, and it's like, or stuff that he wouldn't use, and it's kind of weird, you know. Like Tunnel Rat carrying a hog doesn't make sense, but I'll get to that. This is nice because he's got a pistol, and that's all you would have room for. I mean, you might have room for an assault rifle or something, but you know, I can always give him that. But I like what he came with. Very simple, very straight to the point, very tactical. This feels like, you know, if he's as awesome as they say he is, he's not going to get shot down. And if he does happen to get shot down, he's not going to need that much to stay alive until, you know, backup comes or an evac shows up, or, you know, he'll make his way to an evac point so that he won't get destroyed. So Ace is a win. I actually like this retooling of parts from other Joes, and it works better this time. So, you know, it's cool. Also, the cool thing is the stickers that this thing comes with. It comes with tons of stickers. It comes with name recognition stickers for a bunch of different characters, including Ace, and it comes with stickers that go with them like that. The decals that work for each character. So I put the Aces high on Ace's plane. So altogether, you know, Ace is a really good part of this. I mean, his articulation is kind of hindered by a lot of the crap that he's got on, But when you take off that harness, you get a little bit more freedom. And I think the fact that he uses a pistol is perfect. It's nothing to complain about. And I mean, look at him with his helmet on. He looks pretty badass. Reminds me of something out of Robotech. So, you know, props to them on that. Awesome retooling on an old school figure, and I don't know, it fits. I mean, at some point I might try to look for the original and we'll see what happens. But all in all, they did a good job. I'm really I'm impressed with Ace. Together, you get a decent figure and vehicle. You know, it's a decent pack. It's not the greatest, but it is decent. I think that it'll be even more decent when the price comes down. I mean, look at those two together. When you're looking at them side by side or whatever, it doesn't look like there was that big of a need for them to make the plane so big. The size and the scale is my issue with this vehicle. It's one of the issues, and the fact that they didn't update the plane. I mean, we don't use F-14s anymore, and I know it's G.I. Joe, but a lot of collectors are on that realism kick. Now, I don't want pure realism, but you know, when you're getting a realistic plane from Hasbro, I would like a plane that the armed forces actually uses, you know? So it's a blast from the past, and they did a good job with it. If you have the money, pick it up. If you're not a huge fan of it, then, you know, ignore it. Now we got the Black Dragon VTOL. This thing comes from G.I. Joe Renegades. And in Renegades, it's the primary transport for the Baroness and Cobra Industries. In the show, it's a transport vehicle. So usually the side opens up and you've got tons and tons of people coming out, you know? It's big. It's supposed to be like the C-130 kind of, or a little bit smaller than that, because they don't usually carry vehicles. At least I haven't seen any vehicles in this thing yet. But Hasbro has scaled it down to be a one-seater again. And I don't understand what the problem is with them in this scale. You know, I just complained about scale. You know, every day for a while, kids are watching G.I. Joe Renegades, and adults too. And you see the vehicle, and you see like 10 people in the vehicle at one time. You see fight scenes taking place inside the vehicle, and they give us this tiny thing. Again. And the pilot, as cool as he looks, can't grab the stick, which kind of takes you out of the illusion, even though you're going to have the canopy closed. But still, you sculpted a stick. I want to make my pilot grab the stick. You know, I don't care how cool he looks. His function is to pilot this plane. And he can't really do that, which hurts my feelings. So boo to you, Hasbro. It's so weird how this is something they keep doing. And then you move over to Chap Mei, or True Heroes, or Power Team Elite, whatever you know them as, and they just are generous with plastic as far as sizes go. The landing gear on these things, I'm getting off track because I'm getting so annoyed with some of those things, but the landing gear is pretty awesome. It just flips up. The wheels actually work, which doesn't really make a huge difference to me. I don't need the landing gear to work because I don't plan on rolling this thing around. I just plan on landing it, picking it up, and being done. It is a VTOL after all, which means it could pick up, it could take off straight from the ground or hover and land perfectly. So I don't really even care that it has landing gear. But yes, they fold up. It's cool. You know, for those of you who need that. You also have the undercarriage Gatling gun, which is cool. It's on a swivel hinge, so it can, you know, turn 360 degrees. Although I wouldn't want to shoot backwards with this gun because you'd probably hit the under portion of the VTOL itself. So I would chill with that. The buttons on top control the wings. I think the first button controls the wings. When you have the wings back, you press that, they pop out. The second button controls the pop-out features. Feature 1, if you just press it a little bit, is this pop-out gun, which looks menacing just like the other one. I don't think there's a swivel hinge on it. I've never tried to really turn it. It's possible there is, but mine was tight, so I didn't even try. You know, I just left it the way it is. It's cool. It looks really cool. It's added, added functionality because it can shoot directly underneath it, which is kind of cool. Or if you were to run out of ammunition with the front one, I guess you got a spare, But, either way, it's a cool idea. It works. Also, you have, when you press it down extra hard, this feature where it drops bombs. I tried to take a picture of it in motion, but that kind of didn't really work. You can kind of see the door swinging a little bit, but those are the bombs it drops out. You have 8 bombs. One kind of rolled off the edge right there, so you can't see it, but you will in the next shot, or the next 2 shots, something like that. It's a cool thing. I prefer when you can decide how many you want to drop at a time. Kind of like the old Black Lion from the full-size Voltron from a couple years back when the 3D show was on. Or kind of like the Cobra gunship from Rise of Cobra. You can press the button and open up the hole, and I think you can decide how many you want to come out. There's the other 4. But these things, it's nice. It does the job. It's only annoying when you forget which one is which, because then you got to clean up 8 missiles on the ground. It's not too big of a mess, but it's kind of annoying, I really do dig the pilot's design, but as you'll notice, you can probably tell just a little bit, he's got an extremely long torso, and as you look at how he's standing up, there's one ginormous problem. The poor man looks like he's got to take a shit. Like actually looks like he just shat himself, and he can't stand up straight because the shit is in between his legs and his ass cheeks, and it's going to be uncomfortable, even more so than it may already be. And there's nothing you can do except probably shave down those knee pads to get him to stand up straight. Or maybe even just take those knees and replace them with something else. Detail is awesome. His whole costume is super awesome. I love the helmet. It's like, it reminds me of Bubblegum Crisis. That was an old animated series, an old anime, actually. I don't know why I'm animated series. But anyway, as you can see, nice details. I love the boots. I like the knee pads. I even like the red line going around. But I don't understand why they did that. I don't understand what the deal is with those knees. I mean, you can see that, like, the way it's sculpted to allow for those new knee pads, it prevents the knee from actually straightening up. Now, if you've got a Dremel and you've got some free time and you've mastered the art of using it, you could sand that down and probably allow for some motion. But here's another look from it so you can see that I'm not just bullshitting, because there are a lot of reviewers on YouTube who say things like, my figure can't bend this way, or the waist turns, I think, but it can't on mine, or mine can't turn, so I don't know if it can. They don't actually really look at the figure and try to tell you guys what it can and can't do. I'm actually going to try and tell you guys what it can and can't do, and I'm showing you from multiple angles so that you can feel me and you understand what I'm saying, and it doesn't seem like I'm just bullshitting you. And this seems to be a problem for a lot of G.I. Joe and Transformers reviewers. As I said before, though, the helmet is awesome. The design is awesome because it seems real world enough with a lot of futuristic, details added to it. But the problem with his legs just pisses me off. You see, they got clips on his legs, but he didn't come with a gun. I didn't understand that. I was like, why doesn't he have any type of gun? I mean, maybe mine just didn't, but I've checked some other reviews and everyone said they didn't get guns in the package. But, if you collect Joes, you could give him one. Once again, no matter what I do, I cannot get him to hold the stick, which pisses me off. I can't stress it enough. I know it sounds like a minor thing because you're going to close the canopy, but still, Ace can hold his all of his controls. Freaking Steel Brigade Delta can hold the wheel and the throttle on the vamp. Almost every vehicle I have that has some type of gear on it, it can be used, and he can't. Now here's the comparison. You have one of my babies here, the Black Hawk, and it can hold about 6 to 8 figures. And then you have the VTOL, who's supposed to be a carrier as well, and it can only hold 1 figure. Now, all they would have had to do is copy that frame and tweak it, and you could make a VTOL. Because, I mean, after all, you've got a helicopter with wings. All you'd have to do is make the body just a little bit bigger. Well, a lot bigger. and it would have helped. You know, here it is in comparison to this stealth fighter. I forgot what it's called. I just call it the stealth fighter. Why are they similar in size? You know, of course the stealth fighter's lacking the tail, but why are they similar in size? And then you got the Flash Hawk. Once again, these two shouldn't be the same size. Scale, people, you know. If I was to take out all my Chap Mei stuff and put them side by side, they all at least represent the proper scale for each vehicle. And I don't understand why Hasbro keeps skimping on these things. I get you want to put things in a small box, but I mean, come on, dude. You guys got to get the scale right. So, in my opinion, this was a gift. And I like it because it was a gift, you know. I'm not going to take it back. It was cool. Here it is compared to the Sky Stryker. You can see the difference. It's just like, what? That doesn't make sense. Anyway, this was a gift for me. So it was one of my Christmas presents. So, you know, I'm one of those people who I get a gift and I keep it even if it's not perfect. Now, I can imagine it as a stealth something. It's just that I don't see that Viper going out and doing anything. The Air Viper, don't really see him doing anything. But if I repurpose it, then it's perfect for, you know, little one-man, you know, single soldier missions, you know, like infiltration missions and stuff. But, you know, considering that I did watch Renegades, and many of you have, it's hard to, like, recommend this based on the fact that what it does in Renegades is not what this toy does. I mean, there's a lot missing from it, you know. They could have repurposed the plastic that holds those bombs into making this thing bigger. So, all in all, if you love Renegades, then get it. If not, you will be disappointed because, you know, it's not really that much of a vehicle for the money, you know? $20. It's not completely worth it, in my opinion. But, you know, if you repurpose it, then it might be fun for you. Anyway, moving on to the next one. I've been waiting for this thing for a long time, and I got to give it up to my homeboy, Nemesis Pia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He gave me a heads up that there was a sale at JCPenney's over the holidays where they were selling these guys who normally retail for about $50 for $12. So I got two of them, one for my son and one for myself. Props to you, homie. You really hooked me up, and I appreciate it. And thanks, man. Thanks. The Blackhawk. I saw this thing years ago when I wasn't really collecting G.I. Joes, you know? And then I went on His Tank forums when I started up collecting again. And people were saying how hard it is to find this thing. So once again, just like with the C-130, I was just like, whatever. Maybe I'll see it, maybe I won't, you know? And then this comes along and I'm like, shit, I gotta get it. So like I said, I got two. This is awesome. This is where a lower budget company than Hasbro, a less known company than Hasbro, shines in comparison to the more popular, well-known brand. All the details are there in some way, shape, or form. It mimics the actual Blackhawk very well. I mean, there are some differences, you know, as far as the engines go and little things like that, and there are some setbacks. But it gives you enough vehicle that it feels like it plays the part that it's supposed to. This is one of the setbacks here. You've got about 2 extra seats, I want to say, that you can't get to because there's a door that they sculpted there that you can't open. So you just see these seats and it's like, what the fuck? You know, that could be the spot where you put your I don't know, rescued POWs or whoever, you know? But anyway, you put this thing in the background of any diorama or any setup, and it just looks like, it looks real. It just adds that little bit of realness to the situation. I mean, look at that shit. I mean, if I was bored enough, I could Photoshop grass and a sky and all kinds of craziness in there, and it would look like it's the real deal, like some shit straight out of Predator or something, you know. This, considering that, you know, some kids will get these, and some big kids like me will get these. You can pretend and you can see it in your mind. This feels like what you've seen in movies. If you were in the military, it feels like what you jumped out of when you're going to do what you got to do. It just fits. And it's a wonder that they haven't reissued the old school, what was it called? The Tomahawk, I think it was called, for G.I. Joe. Because that thing was big and it was a carrier as well. And you could actually access all of the seats. But, you know, we don't all have that kind of money and we can't all find it. So, and they didn't reissue it. So, I mean, just look at that. It looks the part. And I'm so happy that I have it. The seating works really well, especially if you got 4 guys in there. Your 4 guys sitting in the back, you know, they'll be you'll have 2 facing, you know, the other 2. You know, 2 on the right, 2 on the left. And if their knees are kind of hitting, it'll keep them in place. If they're smaller Joes, like say you have a couple girls in there, you could fit extra Joes on top of them, or not on top, but next to them, you know. The pilots have perfect space to sit, and there's actual sculpting that separates them so they don't bump into each other. I put my G.I. Joe decals on there. My son actually put Cobra decals on his. I was going to give this to Cobra so they would have something big to transport everything in, but I just couldn't do it. I was like, yo, this is just too cool. I have to use it for the Joes. So now I'm working on my Cobra vehicles and stuff. The helicopter comes with 3 figures. That pilot that looks like a jet pilot and 2 Marines. Now, that alone, and they're well articulated, and that alone helps you start out on the right foot with this thing. Even if you don't collect G.I. Joes and you just like military figures, look at this figure. I mean, look at this thing. 3 figures. I mean, you can do whatever you want with them. 3 figures. They're not the best. They're not the coolest. None of them really compare to G.I. Joes, but, I mean, they're there. And, you know, like I said earlier, every detail is here. You know, in some way, shape, or form. They even, some of the details, they kind of generalized. And I'm not mad at them because they didn't need to put them. If it's not working pieces, generalize, you know. Just as long as it looks like, for the most part, what it's supposed to be, and it can actually serve that function, I'm cool. Change things. I don't care. The Army's decal you see right there, I'm eventually going to get that off. I don't know. I never got around to it. I'm in the process of it. This thing's only a few weeks old, but like I said, a couple stickers, you got a G.I. Joe vehicle. You know, something that Hasbro has been slacking on for a long time. And this is what I love about Chap Mei, especially when you compare them to their more expensive counterparts, you know. So this is a win. Pick it up. I know it's kind of hard to pick this up for $50 with no guns and no lights and sounds or anything like that, but you know, just the fact that it is a Black Hawk and it works, I'd pick it up. If you can find it on sale, pick it up. That's all I can say. So this is a win. This is 100% win. And that's it for me. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and a happy, you know, New Year's Eve and New Year. I will be back with more videos. All right, guys. So as always, be safe. Check me out on the website, and peace outside.